Okay, apprentice shippers here. We're April 5th. Is that right? March, April. Yeah, April 5th.
That's right.
The year is moving along. So, too bad we didn't have it on April Fools. We could have said, we won't do that. We won't do crazy April Fools jokes on you guys. So, all right. Well, anyway, welcome back. Another week at the grindstone here. I can't remember last week if I discussed this, but this was something I went to a meetup group down in San Diego, and I've told a few people about this over the last week or so, and it's really a powerful thing. So I wanted to kind of go back over it again with you guys. And it is totally in alignment with ACT, and it's totally in alignment with the analysis research portion. And it's a way to cheat. It's a way to like accomplish what we need to do using other people's data, which I love that kind of stuff. You know, I love that we don't have to do the hard lifting work. You know, we can just go collect the stuff and use it to our advantage. So one of the things is looking at the market in a new way. You know, we've got tools inside ACT to, you know, show you what's popular and all that kind of stuff. But this is a new spin on it. And again, I apologize if I covered this last week, but this is really good. So I think it's worth mentioning again. And it's the idea of looking at both Q&A sites in your niche, in your industry, and also looking at review sites in your industry. And I'll kind of go over the concept of it. But what we're doing, we're looking to find out what questions are being asked. You know, that's one side of this coin. There's two very distinct things. Both are very positive and can give you a huge advantage in creating your ACT marketing funnels. Because if we know what they're asking about, like let's say we go and we start looking up topics and seeing what people are interested in, what they're asking about, what they're curious about, what they don't know, that alludes to what is important to them. You know, because things that are important to them depend on where they are at any given point in time. So when we look at our pyramid of awareness, this alludes to where they are, what they're feeling, what their questions are. And that can be a great thing to create lead magnets around. So if you guys are kind of stuck with what do I offer them, what do I give as first step, a lot of times the easiest thing is just answer their questions. So if you see there's questions being, you know, the same question over and over and over, you know that's important to that marketplace. So creating even like a blog post answering or addressing that particular question, that can be a very effective, important piece of content for you. Whether you ask for an opt-in to get to it, or you just put a retargeting pixel on it and you retarget them and you opt them in that way, that's what you want to do. You want to create different doorways for people to get in and get access into your funnel. You know, maybe you give the answer to the question away, and then at the end of it, you ask them to opt in for something that's like the next step. Remember, it's not about trying to make a sale on the first encounter. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to prospect on the first encounter. On the way through, on our journey from the first encounter to the sale, basically what we're doing is we're trying to educate them on why our product or service is the right solution for them, and even further, why it's the only solution for them. So you want as many ways as possible to bring them into that process, into that sequence, into that education-based funnel. So looking at, looking at these Q&As, that is brilliant insight into exactly what they're doing. Keyword research is another thing. You know, you might be using keyword research on the front end, which we've got a module in the ACT program on exactly how to do that keyword research. We also have another module on using SEMrush, looking at your competitors and seeing what keywords they rank for. Taking those keywords out to these other sites, these Q&A sites, and seeing what are the exact questions they're asking can be really, really powerful information to know. You know, I talk about BuzzSumo to see what's trending and what's popular, and that's a great thing. But I think even more important is knowing what the questions are that they're asking related to that topic. So that is a gold mine for actually what to create content around. If you're looking at, what do I create videos around? What do I create blog posts around? What should I be creating? This is it. You should be answering the questions of your market. You should be using that step as a bonding tool to lead them to the next thing, which is educating them further and further and further, to the point of them creating, or you creating rather, demand and desire within them, to the point where they actually want to buy. You don't have to sell at that point. They want to buy. All you have to do at that point is take orders. So that's the first side of the coin, and that is really, really a powerful thing. The other thing is the reviews. And when you're looking at languaging, like we talk about in ACT, in the analysis, we're looking at what is their slang, what are the industry terms, what's their voice, are they soft-spoken, are they loud and obnoxious, what are they, so we can mirror it. That's the whole purpose behind that, is so we can mirror and match and build trust and rapport with them. So when you look at review sites, there's no better thing than the insight of knowing how they feel in building that communication. So looking at the insights that we can get from looking at reviews of their competitors, or even reviews of your own stuff, there's an incredible learning experience there. So here is kind of the overview of how to do that. First of all, you want to aggregate, which just means collect all of the reviews that are out there. And this is, like I said, not only your reviews, but reviews of your competitors, any reviews of anything that's in the same space. You want to separate them. The first thing to do is make two lists. You want to make the list of the great reviews, and you want to make the list of the horrible reviews. You don't want to mix them. You want them separate in two different lists. So like, say for instance, 4 and 5 star reviews, they get copied and pasted into one Word document. And the 1 and 2 star reviews, those are bad reviews. Those get copied and pasted into a different document. So you aggregate these. They should all, you get all of these in a line. And then you use a thing like, this is what we used to do in SEO long time ago when it was all about content. We would want to get our keyword density right, where we would want the same keyword to show up a certain amount of times, a percentage of times in the text. And they call that keyword density. So we're kind of back to that in a new way, totally different purpose, but we're back to that keyword density. So in the good reviews, let's say we've got a document, we've got 100 reviews, they're all good, positive reviews. They're all in one document. So we want to now analyze that document for what words and phrases show up the most. So in essence, it's keyword density is what we're looking for. How many times does a particular phrase show up? And you want to take those top phrases, and that is the voice of your market. That's what is concerned, that's what they're concerned with. This is what they like. And you do the same thing with the negative reviews, the 1 and 2 star reviews. And same thing, the keywords that rise to the top, that's what they don't like. So if you look at your content, you look at your copy, and it includes stuff they don't like, you need to fix that. You need to get rid of that stuff, or position it in a way that it's opposite from you and them and what they want. You need to accentuate the stuff that's coming out of the reviews that they actually like and they do want. and you'll see particular languaging patterns when you do this. Now, the company that presented this, it was an ad agency that presented this material, and they were showing results. They were showing before and after and case studies. In the amount that their conversion went up, it was like radical conversion ratio changes. You know, when you can get double-digit changes, you know, you can change 10 or more % in conversion. That's pretty phenomenal. And that's what they were routinely seeing by doing this. And literally, all they were doing was really knowing what phrases and terms and, you know, voice of the market was compelling and interesting to their customers, and entering that in. One of them was in relationship to it was an old folks home. You know, it was like a senior, I think they call it, I shouldn't say old folks home, that's probably not politically correct anymore. It was an assisted living facility. Let's call it that. And there was some things in their copy and in their advertising that they were making reference to these people in a certain way. And what they noticed was they referenced themselves in a very different way. So this is back to, how do they see themselves? What do they call themselves? And by just simply changing that one thing on the copy and referring to them the same way they refer to themselves, that thing alone was an over 10% increase in conversion. So not only did they refer to themselves that way, also so do the people around them, and that's what they're comfortable with. So that was a really, really cool learning experience for me, and it was quite an eye-opener too. And it's so in line with the whole ACT program, and it's so in line with the way ad agencies work. You know, I created the ACT program around that. You know, the ad agencies is what we're modeling as a successful pattern. And this is just another little deeper insight into how they do what they do. You know, I've outlined, you know, what they're doing, and then all of our training is all the little how-tos, how to get that stuff done and accomplished. And that's just another, you know, deeper delve into exactly the way they're doing this. So anyway, if you guys have questions, go ahead and feel free to unmute yourself. I was going to say *6, but that was our old conference line, so that's gone by the wayside. So you guys can either unmute or use the chat window here and tell me where you're at, what we can do for you.
Okay. I'll go.
Go for it there, Miss Cheryl.
So I got approved from the state of Florida to provide CE credits for massage therapists who every 2 years have to renew their license and take classes, continuing education classes. So there's a company called CE Broker, and you get permission through them, through the state. So it's up on their website now that I'm now providing these classes. So it's live, and my website does not reflect that. So I know, should I go? I didn't think it'd be that quick. So do I go first to ClickFunnels? Do you think that, thank you, Chris. Should I go to ClickFunnels and get the form filled out for them interest in taking the class? Like if somebody clicks my website right now, they're going to go there and there's going to be no information about the class or me or
Gotcha.
what we're doing or sign up form. There's no next step.
Well, technically what you should do is the link from that directory over to your site should go to a page on your site, not just your home page.
Okay, so make a specific page for CE classes? Okay.
Yeah, you don't need to go to ClickFunnels unless you want to, but what you should do is you should create a page on your site and then have them change the link to go directly to that page. Even if the stuff is not ready yet, send them to that right page so they know they've got where they should have gone. Because if they just go to your home page and there's nothing about it, they're going to think, well, what is this?
Right. And that's what I wanted to make sure to do, is send them directly to the information page, the sign up. I think they sign up through CE Broker. I don't think they have to sign up through me, but I want to capture their information.
Yeah. So what you want to do is on that page, you want to put like, something free. And like what I was just talking about is a great way to figure out what that should be. Figure out like what's their top questions, and maybe aggregate the top 3 or 5 or 10 questions that is going on in that particular niche, and then put, here's the top 10 things you need to know. And that would be a great lead magnet for them to opt in to get that. You could also, if you're not ready for it, you could also say, hey, this is what I'm working on. This is going to be great for you. If you'd like first shot at it, go ahead and sign up for the mailing list here. And as soon as it's ready, give them a potential date of when you think it's going to be ready, and say, you'll be the first to receive it. You'll be on my pre-list to get all the stuff before it's even available to the public.
Okay.
So that's kind of an easy way to do that. You should also, you might not be this far along yet, but if you're not, you might want to accelerate the process and get your retargeting put in there too. So that way, anybody that comes and doesn't sign up, you can still follow them around. That's a really, really great thing to do. And I'm as guilty as anyone because I'm not doing it myself yet.
Is that something, John, that we could do on a Zoom? Like, okay, everybody get your computers open.
Yeah.
Let's get this done. Like, could we maybe do that next week?
It is, and it's so easy to do. Yeah, we probably should do that.
And then we all do it, and we can all say it's done.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's probably a great idea. We should do that, because anytime I want to get something done for myself, that's the best way for me to do it is, hey, let's do it together.
I know it's crazy. I've been contacted from the Admiral. Who are the people?
Yeah, Frank at Admiral.
Yeah, I mean, and the other one that you recommended, and it's like I'm just not ready yet. Like I don't have things in place. I don't have my, my privacy, things on my website, all that stuff to keep me safe. The Guardian.
Gotcha. Yeah, FTC Guardian. Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, well, am I ready to really get blown up, or do I need to just sit back and, get some of this stuff done first? So I got to create the page. So I was wondering, is that just a WordPress that I go in and do that? Because, I want to capture their emails and stuff. And so I'm like, what pieces are missing?
Yeah, because, let's say, I'm pretty sure you have a WordPress site. So what you do is you would log into WordPress and you're just creating another page.
Okay.
And you can link it in your navigation, so you can feature it on your home page and have a link to the right page.
Okay.
So you're just adding it into your navigation and your whole site, and then you're creating that page, so you've got the space to put the content you want to build. And then the next thing really is to come up with what is that content and decide if you want to give it out up front and then at the end ask them to opt in for something bigger, or if you want to ask them to opt in up front to get it. You'll get probably the best conversions if you don't ask up front to get the first piece of content. If you can deliver them some value and then ask for the opt-in, obviously you'll convert better.
Well, these people are going to find me through the CE Broker, so they're going to probably take the class without me having to convince them, because they need credit. They need the credits.
Okay, so whatever it is, whatever it is that they desire, that should be in alignment with what you're offering to get them to, because it's a bribe. You're giving them an ethical bribe to get on your mailing list, no matter how you slice it.
Well, and I would have them on my mailing list because if they take the class, I've got their information. And I'm just trying to, I think that they're probably going to go to my website to see if I'm legit. I mean, like, is it worthwhile? So I think that I have to, make a page a little bit about the importance of why knowing about concussions can help your massage practice and help you make money. I think I've got to speak to.
Okay.
Right? Does that make sense to you?
Can I ask you? Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Uh, you mentioned they're going there because it'll help them with this, that, and the other thing. But isn't this like a state mandated thing where they need to get their credits?
Yes, they have to. They have to take so many classes every 2 years. So they get to choose what class they
Yeah.
take.
Just my 2 cents. So it's something that they're not out there like wanting it. They have to do it. So it's like, ugh. So when I have to do something that I don't necessarily want to do, my thing is like, okay, how long is this going to take, and how quick can I do it? So I'm just putting it out there. It's like, welcome. I'm going to make it fast, easy, and beneficial to your practice. To get you in and out of here as quick as possible.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, see, that's in alignment with what they're thinking, what they're feeling, all that stuff.
Okay.
The other thing too, if that's really all it's for, is just for you to have credibility, it might be worth you investing in doing one of those video press releases. And remember that I showed you guys how I did the video press release, and looks like a newscaster in a newsroom, telling this story in the news about me. And it's like, they're saying all these phenomenal things about me, and I'm like, I wonder where they got that. I wrote that. So it gives you the ability to write that script for a newscaster to actually tell your story for you. And it's phenomenal. So you get the video comes out awesome. And then also they syndicate that out because it's a press release. So it will go out on all these different news sites. And then what you do is you get a report of all the sites that it went to. And now you have the legitimate right and ability to take all those logos and put them on that page. Like as seen on NBC News, as seen on CBS, NBC, Fox, all these big major news stations. And here it is, Cheryl as seen on. So it's a fast track to credibility.
What group did you use for doing that? What video group did you?
That was the PR Reach guys. That's in
Right.
if you go to the resources page, the ACT page, down at the bottom, there's the resource section, and you've got links to them. It's called PR Reach.
Okay.
And, I think it's a couple $100, and basically you write the press release. What they do is they take your press release and they turn it into a video, and then they syndicate it out to all the press release platforms out there.
Wow.
So it's fairly inexpensive. For
Yeah.
a couple $100 you can get that done.
Okay.
And it really gives you an awesome credibility piece.
Yeah, it sounds like it, especially if you can put all of those tags on your website. I always look at that and think they paid for those. Now that I know the game.
and they're not that expensive. For a couple $100 you can have the same thing.
Yeah, right.
And there's a lot of other ones too. I mean, I listed off ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox, but there's a ton of them. You can get on you probably can use the Bloomberg logo. You can, there's a ton of them because you literally get broadcast out to hundreds, if not thousands, of news sites.
Wow.
And they give you a report. Every place where your press release showed up, you can go to that site, pluck their logo off, and put it on your site as seen on.
So I'm thinking about taking the course because that's for credit, because they have to take it, kind of like ambulance drivers, nurses, paramedics, whatever. But I'm thinking about doing a course for mothers. So that would probably require Facebook ad, do you think, if I did just a general course for mothers?
Yeah, if they're not in that organization and there's no way for them to send those people through to you, you're basically targeting based on the demographic.
Okay.
So depending on what they're aware of, and if they're looking for it or not. If they're looking for it, then search might be a good thing. If they're looking for it, also in YouTube videos would be a good place. Any place where they're actively seeking that information is going to be, where you want to show up and advertise. If they're unaware and they're not searching for it, that's where Facebook comes in. That's where that makes a really good place, because You're just figuring out, where they're hanging out. You're only advertising to those people in that hangout. You're creating that audience, so you're not just burning money showing this ad to a bunch of people. You're only burning money to show it to the right people inside that group.
Right.
So that's a good way to do that. So when it comes down to the traffic, you've got your funnel all put together, and you get to the traffic end of things. That the most important thing about traffic is that you get the right traffic source. I see this all the time. People will blow money on traffic that it's not where their ideal customer's hanging out, and that's just a waste of money. So make sure that it's not only the right traffic source, but it's the right audience within that traffic source. That's kind of the key to that.
Oh, I'll be running it by you guys. Trust me. So can you talk to me about copyright?
Okay.
I know it's a big topic, but when somebody has copyrighted material, but you paid for a course, and that course is copyrighted, can you not use any of the information? Like, can I reteach pieces of a course that I've taken somewhere else?
Yes, copyright is just that. It's so you don't copy it. And copy, the way copy is defined in most court battles is a percentage of likeness. And I don't know exactly in written text how much you have to change it, but I think it's the same as in graphic, and it's got to be a 10% variation.
Okay.
So if you take and you change it 10%, you're good.
Okay.
As far as from a legal aspect. Now that doesn't mean like there's 10 modules and you copied 9 of them verbatim, and you added one they didn't have. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like changing 10% of everything.
Right. Well, there's just pieces of it that I want to use, not everything. And it's the energy work that I do. I had these 3 levels that I was going to provide classes on, and every level was going to be a little bit more with concussions and brain injuries and helping people recover from them.
Yeah, even your spin on that is you're not going to be facing any kind of a copyright violation if it's the same topic and the same subject and it's your spin on it, even if the same things apply. It's like, look at my trainings in SEO. I mean, how different can I really be than the 50,000 other guys teaching the same 3 things? It's my version of it, my words, that makes it mine as far as a copyright. And so you guys know, as far as like what is copyrighted and what you can copyright and all that stuff and how to go about that, even the fact that you create it in print or video or graphic or whatever, a tangible thing, the second that you create it, it's automatically copyrighted to you. Now, the steps that you have to take is to protect it. So to protect a copyright, what you have to do first is post the copyright notice. You don't necessarily have to file for copyright. The only time that you actually have to file for copyright is if you intend to defend it. So you don't have to go and file for copyright and go through all that rigmarole unless it comes a point where somebody's infringing on you and you need to defend it. At that point, yeah, you need to register it as a registered copyright. But just the fact that you did it and you put the label on it that's copyrighted, the year, basically you're putting the year that it was created, the copyright of who owns it, and the little copyright symbol. That's really all you have to do. And with a trademark, all you have to do is put TM. I believe it's TM means it's in the process of registration. You can't put the little R on there until you actually get a registered trademark. But the fact that you put TM next to it says I'm protecting this. Not, it's basically you're planting your flag. And if you don't plant your flag, you're not protecting your material. And if you're not protecting your material, it's open to them to take it. So, if it comes down to a court case, they can say, yeah, I was using it first. And then how do you prove that? Because you didn't plant your flag until after they did. Even though you created it first, you didn't protect it first. So that's why on the bottom of your website, you should always have that, everything copyrighted, the year, all that stuff. You should basically just be doing that. If you started copywriting stuff, you'll see this like from one year to another year. You might put like the first year you started the content on that site, and then a dash, and then the current year. And that kind of just gives you a blanket coverage for the entire process of any content that you've created. So, but yeah, if you're I mean, if you're copying their stuff. it's like
there's, I mean, part of it, yes. For me to do level 1 is fine. I can do that. But the level 2 and 3 there's pieces of it that I totally was copying, and I know it. And I they just, the people that I learned the work from are just being funny about it. And I said, why don't you want more people to get help with this? But they want me to do the entire body. I said, I don't want to do the entire body. I just want to do the brain stuff.
Yeah. And that's the thing that makes it unique to you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would, and like I said, there's a lot of things, like if you're teaching somebody how to pound a nail, there's only so many ways to do that, but how many people could teach that and create unique copyrighted material on how to pound a nail their way?
Yeah.
Everybody. Well,
I don't think that they would come after me because they kept this work a secret for so long that they're not going to draw attention to themselves. They fly under the radar, which, Reiki's been around forever and ever. And this work, anyway. Everybody else doesn't need to hear this rant, but so okay, but the person I'm doing the classes under is a little concerned. She doesn't want to get in trouble, and I said, I'm not doing anything to get you in trouble.
Yeah.
But I want to stay in integrity also. I'm trying to do it the right way. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just put your spin on it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the same thing with me and the ACT program. There's nothing in the ACT program that's unique that I created, really. I just put the system together so it's understandable. But I'm teaching you stuff that Benjamin Franklin came up with. I mean, technically he, that's not mine, but I teach it to you in my way so I can transfer the knowledge to you. And the way I do that is very different than the way he did it. Yeah. Even though it's the same thing, we're teaching the same thing. It's our lesson plan, our unique way to transfer the information. Okay. As long as you're not like copying their text and their words, word for word exactly, put it into your own words, and now it's your copyright.
What if there's numbers involved? Like it's just picture Morse code. So when you're doing Morse code, there's only certain blips that mean certain things, right?
Yeah. So
if it's a number system that they have, and I change the word behind it, like instead of saying a ruptured artery, if I say a disrupted artery, is that enough of a change? If the number is the same?
Yeah, it could. Like you don't really even have to change the name of the thing. Like if it truly is referred to as a ruptured artery, you don't want to change that because that's what it is. That's what people are going to see it as.
Right.
And if that's like something that you're revealing and it's through a number pattern, just the way that you teach it is going to be. It's going to be unique.
Yeah.
If you want to come up with your own pattern, even better. Like add A, B, C to it, like A1, A2, B1, B2. Like throw B in there for brain. This is specifically, this is how you do it for the brain.
Okay.
And it's B1 or B4. B4 means a ruptured artery in the head.
Okay. I think I think I can do that. I'm going to have to get tricky. I tried to talk to them and say I would like to feed your program. People that want to go further, I want to be a feeder for your school, and they just, it can't be done that way. But anyway.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. In fact, that was one of the big things I was hearing, and I had a lot of chatter going on about that very thing at Craig's thing. It was a week or so ago about the woman that is selling the color coding thing. I forget her name. I know her name. I just can't think of it.
She's the one that had the $20 bills thrown at everybody was on 20s.
Yeah. She is a selling machine, and it's she's come up with this thing that basically it's the color code system. It's how to sell based on the 4 personalities. That's not a new thing. She just put a new wrapper on it, and she's claiming it's new and unique, and this is her thing, and she created it. Well, she didn't create squat. She took something else and just basically put a new face on it, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But the thing is, she wants to sell it almost like a franchise now. And she wants other people to teach it and train it. But here's the thing, if you do that, she does not want you to sell anything else outside of that. She doesn't want you to be your own person. She wants you to be like a mini-me of her. And that's what I was hearing is people, they got into her program and she didn't tell them that up front. Now she's trying to enforce it and tell them they can't do what the other things in their business that they were already doing. And they're not happy about that.
Is she in Craig's group?
I don't think she's in the group, but she's a new speaker that he's been bringing.
Oh boy.
And I met her many, many years ago when she was first getting started. And it's bank. She calls it the bank codes. And it's like unlocking the vault for making sales. That's how she positions it. Sherry Tree. That's her name. I knew her name. I met her when she first started that. She was speaking at one of Mel Kotler's events, and it was like her first thing. She was just getting started in it, and that was back, I don't know, probably 8 years ago, 8 or 10 years ago. So now she's got this thing, and it's solidified, and she's great at selling it too. She presents it really, really well. And that's the thing, that makes things franchisable. So she'll say, hey, I've got this, I've figured it out. You can just do what I do and sell this and make a ton of money. And obviously you make a ton of money for her too at the same time. But she doesn't want you to do anything else. And that's not cool. Nobody's going to want to do that. But she doesn't present it that way when she sells you into it. So you give her a big chunk of money to buy this, and then it gives her the ability to kick you out. So just not cool in my opinion. So I get where you're coming from. I get people that do that. That's a greed thing. It's a limited mentality, and it's, in my opinion, it's just destructive.
Well, I told them whoever developed this work, they weren't meant to keep it a secret and hide it, and it was meant to be shared with people. It was meant to help people heal.
Yeah.
So why would you stop that? Why would you anybody having cranial work is a good thing. It isn't going to hurt anybody. Yeah. So I'm trying to do what's right, but sometimes I'm getting tired of doing what's right. It's like, forget it. I'm not going to fight with you over this.
The fact that you went through their program or whatever, and you learned their thing, and now you've taken it on yourself to improve upon it. Mm-hmm. You've taken something good and made it better, and that's That's the American way.
That's right. Yeah. And, why wouldn't you want it out there?
Yeah, that's the American dream, to take and improve upon. And they say that necessity is the mother of invention. So if you took their thing and you found, hey, this is a cool base, but this isn't good enough for me, I need something better, and you go ahead and you further that, you create that. You created it out of necessity, and now you have a new thing, even though it was based on something else. It's like, you could say this about anything. There is nothing new out there. Somebody came up with the idea of a washing machine. And what did that do? That created a competitor, because now they created a better one.
Yeah.
But they can't say, hey, that's mine. You can't do. No one else in the world can make a washing machine.
That's what I was thinking, like everything's a knockoff. Everything is.
Yeah. It's the same thing. I mean, they created that out of something else. So,
Yeah.
they didn't just sit there and this just appeared in their brain, one night. It's evolved. It was probably the work of hundreds of people prior to them.
I don't know. It's a pretty specific work that I've never seen before. I mean, it's very number detailed and very anatomy oriented, and
but it might be one of those things that was like passed down for generation, and who knows? It might have come from the ancient Aztecs. I don't know.
Or aliens.
Yeah,
It's a whole other discussion. Yeah.
Somewhere, it was passed along. But again, it's like anything else. Doesn't mean you can't take it and improve upon it and create something new out of it.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm thinking.
And that's what you're doing. You're creating a brain-specific version of it.
Yeah, and I'm not going to call it their name, so their name won't be attached in any way to it. So.
Yeah, because I think that thing that I came up with for you that I'd seen many years ago, the healing codes, is that the same people or is that different people?
No, the healing codes is nothing. I have 3 books about this thick of numbers in the book that respond to different parts of the body. Where the healing code is just a basic generic kind of version of this.
Yeah, well, see, again, that's somebody that maybe took it, dumbed it down, and created something called the healing codes, and they've been selling it for probably 15 or 20 years that I know of.
Yeah.
I saw it like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So again, I don't think you've got an issue. I wouldn't worry about what they say, because everybody's going to say something. Everybody's going to want something. I mean, I'll give you an example of this, and a lot of it's completely irrational. Like that's irrational that Sherry would want you to not sell anything else. That's an irrational thought. I had a client, a new customer, and this is one of those ones where I should never have taken him on. This guy is so far from my ideal client. I should have run. Should have known better. But I try and do nice things for people, and every time I do, I get bit in the ass. And this was a guy. He came to me. He was having problems with his host, and I said, yeah, we can handle that for you. We can take over your hosting. Here's what you do. Here, you can sign up for it online. He didn't want to do any of that. He wanted to come in and he wanted to have a private meeting for a hosting account. I'm like, you don't need private consulting to decide if you want us to host for you. But again, I submitted to his request. I met with the guy. He spent like an hour of my time going over all these unrelated, just nonsense concerns about a hosting account, and like conspiracies and people out to get them. And I should have just gotten up and left. I should have just run. But anyway, I sold him, a hosting account. He didn't want to do it. He wanted to give us a check. He doesn't have a credit card, doesn't have an address, works on a P.O. box. I mean, I should have just known. Anyway, so he wants to negotiate. He wants a year. So I gave him a discounted deal on the thing. And anyway, after his year, he wants a refund, says he didn't use it. And I'm like, well, it doesn't matter if you use it or not. It's, we're setting up space on the server. We're setting up resources, all this. I mean, he used our tech support multiple times, throughout the year. So I know he got some value out of it anyway, even if he didn't transfer his files. But, after a year, he wants a refund. And I'm like, well, we have a 30-day refund policy. There's no refunds after a year. And, he tells me, well, he didn't see that. He didn't get that. It wasn't in writing, this, that, and the other. I mean, it just on and on and on. It's an absolute nightmare. And I had a circular conversation with this guy for an hour before I told him, look, I don't have anything else to say to you, and I've got other things to do, so I got to go. So thank you, and, goodbye. And then he gets all fired up saying I hung up on him, and he's just been a pain in my ass ever since. I offered to extend it and give him another year so he'd have a chance to use it, since he didn't use it the first year. And then he didn't want that, but he said that was what was promised to him. He didn't want that. And I said, well, I said, what do you want? You're not getting a refund after a year. What do you want? What can I do for you? And he said, well, what about a partial refund? And I said, okay, well, here's the deal. Here's the deal, basically. Yeah, Lewis, this is a live one, so you're good. I said, okay, here's the deal. You used the support team for at least 2 hours that I documented, during the year. So if you're not a customer, we would charge $100 an hour for that tech support. So, we'll convert your thing to a non-hosted account and just tech support. So basically, we'll take the $200 out, and I'll refund you the rest. And he didn't want to do that. He said, there's no way we charge $100 an hour for tech support. So now he wants to change my policies. He wants to change and control my pricing. And I'm just like, no, I am done with you. You have overstepped your bounds. You get nothing. And he is just, he sends me an email almost on a daily basis. In fact, this morning I just sent him a cease and desist letter to stop harassing us. So it's like, oh my God, talk about a lesson in steering away from your non-ideal clients. That is it. Hopefully he'll just disappear and go away at this point, but what a nightmare that can be. I'm not even sure how we got onto that, but it's just an example of what can happen when you take on the wrong people and it up front. So that's again back to why it's so important to identify who your ideal customers are and stay away from the rest. They just don't make sense. If you look at how much of my life I've lost on this one guy that I'm going to want back at the end. That's the way I look at this stuff. So anyway, anything else? Go ahead and come on out.
Hey, John.
Hey, Mary Sue.
I just wanted to say about Cheryl's stuff. A couple of things occurred to me.
Okay.
One is, I think it's a little concerning that she actually told them that she wants to sell their stuff, and now she's going to say, yes, I'm going to sell your stuff. It's not really your stuff. It's my own stuff. And people, if you go back to like, with the Telegraph or something, Marconi and who came up with the idea first on things. People really do have similar ideas at similar times. And one of the things I would say is there really might be research out there that somebody else has explained something similar that you can refer to. So if you go into one of the health research sites or something, and just look for research papers, white papers on something that, because you know exactly what you're looking for, you can be very explicit in the things that you want to say. There might even be old books that refer to the same kind of thing, because all she really needs is a different perspective, so that when she says what it is, it doesn't sound like, yes, I took your stuff, but I am going to say that it's not really your stuff, it's my stuff. You just want to color it differently and say, this is a different way of explaining something to make it very clear to you. So working your way through how to present that is probably a better way of doing it. So, not just trying to, change the spelling of how you say the thing so that it's really obvious that you ripped somebody off, but just think your way through it and say, this is a different way of looking at it, and make it your own in that way. I know it takes work to do that, and it takes, going back through it, but there very well might be somebody that's done research that kind of turns on a light bulb that says, oh yes, this is, this is something I can put in it that's totally different. It might be very old, and then you don't need to worry about that. And if you can actually refer to something, research that had been done years and years ago, you're even better off, right? Because now you have a resource of somebody that's not even around doing it anymore, but they were the original piece of yarn that said, let's go down this road, I was this is years ago, in a conference that somebody had signed up for, and they, I guess in a way of saying, oh boy, don't do this, somebody had attended it, took all of the documentation and created, they thought they were out someplace where nobody would find them, created their own program that was almost word for word. And they truly were copyrighted and went after them and took them to court. So how they were, they certainly thought they were hidden and protected, but
I just, so everybody's clear, I'm not doing that. It's a very small piece of the work that's part of the class. So I don't want anybody to think that I'm ripping people off, because that.
Yeah, I don't think that, Cheryl. I'm just saying that.
I just want to make that clear that.
But there are people that that might take that perspective and go after that. You just never know what's on the other end, is the only thing I'm saying. In their case, it really was a true ripoff. Okay, so it wasn't just a portion of the thing. Okay, they just put their name on the front of it and they were good to go, But you just don't want to, because I'm sure that she's got her own perspective in so many different ways, just coming up with a different way of looking at it so that it really is authentically her,
Well, the whole thing is with Cheryl, and Cheryl, this is very similar to me with the ACT program. It's the same thing. It's like, I've taken the work of a lot of people and brought it all together in here. And I think that's going to be the same with you. It's based on your story of, hey, I had this particular problem, and here's the different things I did. Here's the, you could even mention, the trainings that you went through, and based on your experience, you've used those trainings to come up with what worked for you, and that's what you're sharing. So it comes down to your story. It's like the same thing with ACT. That's what I did. I went through all those other trainings and I took that and learned, I coupled that with the learning I got from all of you guys giving me feedback into how we could make this thing, more usable for the normal person. And and then we created our own thing out of all of that. So that's my story of how I came up with it. And you have the same thing. You know, you had that brain injury, and this is your story, and this is what you came out of it with that is unique and branded to you. So I don't think you're at all going to be in danger of, you know, being called a copycat or copyright infringement or anything like that.
And nobody knows that stuff going in. Nobody that doesn't know Cheryl has any clue why she has anything to say about this. So
Yeah.
presenting the story of what happened to me, I think can be a valuable thing. And there's always, whatever you go through, some things work for some people and some things don't. So what works and what doesn't is important to know, you know. So she's got a lot to work with that's really pertinent to just her, you know, in a perspective way.
Yeah, this is the Cheryl story.
There you go.
So, all right, well, cool. I want to thank everybody for coming out and showing up on this today and advancing. I really love the fact that, you know, you guys are making moves and stepping forward, and you know, when you get stuck, or even if you want feedback, you know, this is the forum for that. So, you know, keep on coming on here and, you know, letting us all collectively brainstorm and help you move forward.
Thanks, everybody. I appreciate your feedback.
Yeah, awesome. So, all right, guys. Well, I am off to New Orleans now. So my little vacation getaway. We actually leave tomorrow, and I'll be back. So I'm not going to miss the call. I got back just in time for next week's call. So no interruptions. But I will be out having some fun between now and then. So if you want to email me, it might take me a little while to get back to you, but I will get back to you. So, all right, guys, have a great week, and keep on moving forward and figure out where you're stuck and bring it on here. And let me take a crack at it.
Have fun in the Big Easy, John.
All right, I will. Gonna go eat some good food. All right, guys, have a great week. We'll see you next week.